Welcome to Rationality, Reason, and Reality. I'm Supernova. Today I'm going to discuss a couple more logical fallacies that are very closely related. The first one being the false dilemma or false dichotomy. They both mean the same thing. They're synonymous. The di prefix in both means two, like as in carbon dioxide has two oxygen atoms in that one molecule. Di means two. In this case, it's two choices, and they're both called false because they're suggestions that a problem only has two answers, where it really has more. For instance, if you asked me, do you believe in the death penalty? Yes or no? Yes or no aren't necessarily the only answers I could give you. I could say, well, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Or I don't know what the death penalty is. I can't discuss it. Or even yes in some cases, but no, not in others. There are shades of gray, and a lot of people just don't like this ambiguity, and so they present things in false dilemmas. Christian examples would include cases where atheists are arguing about the existence of God with a theist, and that theist believes that if they persuade you, then you have to believe in their God. They don't even present evidence for their specific God. They just present evidence for a God, thinking, well, if I persuade him, he has to believe in mine. Whereas there's thousands of choices out there. I mean, you could even make up gods like atheists have with the flying spaghetti monster. There's absolutely no reason why we have to believe in yours. Another famous false trilemma, as the YouTuber Steve Shives has named it, is the liar, lunatic, or God false trilemma that C.S. Lewis presented. It's where C.S. Lewis says that Jesus claimed to be God. So you either have to take him for a madman, believing himself to be God when he wasn't, or a liar, where he knows that he isn't God, but he's trying to persuade you that he is, or he's telling the truth and he is God. Well, of course those aren't your only choices. He could have been genuinely mistaken and just thought he was, but not crazy because he just didn't have the right knowledge. Or he might not have even said it at all. I think most of us atheists would pick that choice. We'd say, oh, I don't believe that God claimed that he was, that Jesus even claimed that he was God. Especially if you look at only the first three Gospels. I've talked about John and how much Jesus proclaims to be God in that gospel. If you took away John, I don't even think you'd have that dilemma or that trilemma, because you wouldn't even have Jesus claiming to be God. So that's the false dichotomy. A very specific instance of the false dichotomy is another very common logical fallacy called the argument from ignorance. That is, where you believe something to be true, not because it's been proven true, but because it hasn't yet been disproven. Now, we see this an awful lot when fundamentalist Christians, and Muslims too, argue for creationism. They almost never give any positive evidence for it, because what could they present? They just show you their holy books and say, these stories must be true and you must believe them. No, what they try to do is they attack evolution, and they think, well, if you disbelieve evolution, then you have to believe in my theory. Well, of course not. People have proposed alternatives such as an alien intelligence making the universe. I remember Michael Shermer in his book, The Believing Brain, suggested that it's an alien intelligence that's far advanced from ours could have figured out how to collapse a black hole and make a universe. And we would call that being God if we didn't know the technology that he used to make us. But as you can see, you could make up literally any amount of alternatives. There are a lot of atheists that don't believe in evolution, and of course there are some Christians that do. So it's a false dilemma. Specifically, it's an argument from ignorance, proposing that if creationism hasn't been disproven, then it must be true. So anyway, I hope you learned something today, and I hope you keep tuning in, and feel free to comment below. Peace.